All right, hello everybody. Welcome to our Monday night live stream. We're talking about She-Hulk. She-Hulk episode 8. It's She-Hulktober. Oh man, we figured it out last week and I didn't write it down. But it's a continuation of She-Tember. We're talking She-Hulk. She-Hulk episode 8. Ribbit. Got Chad and Rory here tonight. How are you guys doing?
Oh, good.
I think it was Jen Waltober.
Oh yeah, Jen Walton.
You're right.
Yeah. Also, did the theme song run longer than usual this week?
Yeah.
Or was it just because I was so excited to hear about what Rory watched? Because right before
suspense.
we started going live, Rory said, "So I just watched," and then boom, theme song. It's like, what did he see?
I don't
What do you
remember.
think he saw?
It's gone.
Oh man.
I was hoping it was the
I
Black Panther.
I just automatically
trailer.
deleted all the way back to. I'm just going to talk about She-Hulk number 7 because I don't remember anything that I watched the last time I talked. That's what happens when you shut me off without like backing me up. Like
Right.
I just go back to my last save. I wonder if that's what's happening every time, like in like the greater simulation. Every time my internet cuts out and I'm just sitting here, I wonder if that's like I died and am being reloaded back into the simulation. That makes sense.
Restoring your last
Yeah.
save point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like even in the greater universe, I have shitty internet connection.
It's like, oh man, this lag is killing me. Reboot Rory again. What's his ping now? 7,000. Reboot.
I was just gonna say I finished off Obi-Wan and got
okay.
too deep into Andor today.
I've only got one episode into Andor, but I thought it looked promising.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where, like, from just off of the first episode, I was like, this is clearly a really amazing TV show and the kind of Star Wars story I want to be seeing. I just wish it was with characters that I thought had an arc that wasn't already a predetermined arc. Like that's going to be my only complaint with this show so far. And I feel like it's a valid complaint, but it's also one of those things where it's like I'm complaining about what the show is or isn't, not what it. I'm complaining about what I want it to be, not what it is.
Yeah, that's true.
So.
I do think it's a valid complaint, especially with the kinds of projects that Disney has been greenlighting for Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like, except for Ahsoka, like, everything is like, oh, I know how this character's story ends.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I would like to see further into the future or go so far back that it doesn't have bearing on the future.
Right, yeah.
One or the other, please.
Right.
Or I would even be okay with more like Rogue One, where it's like if you want to stay in that time period, there was a lot of other people involved in those battles. Like you could have entire things where it's like you don't know which Bothan spies didn't make it. Like that would be a great thing. Like the end goal is going to be that they get it out, but you don't know how and you don't know who's going to make it. So it's still story there. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. So I don't know what canonically Bothans even look like. You only hear them talked about. I've read about them in books, but I haven't seen one in the movie yet.
I think they're like cow people-ish.
Okay, another furry.
But that's like a comic thing, so.
Right. Yeah, so I want someone to admit live
very
action.
questionably canonical.
So like
Legends content.
Legend has it there.
I do think Cassian Andor from the first episode just solidly
they're lion people.
Yeah. Snouts.
Solidly earned my he's my favorite Star Wars hero so far, like other than Chewie.
Yeah. Yeah, they should do it a Chewbacca series, right? Because they do it. They did like a baby Groot like mini thing.
Yeah.
Do that with Chewbacca. That would be fun.
Like I would like to see what Chewbacca's doing now that he doesn't have Han Solo slowing him down.
Oh yeah, modern day Chewbacca.
Yeah. Like just, he's stenciled in a skull on the front of his fur. The translation.
Yeah.
This is punishment.
Going full Punisher on unfaithful children. What's the word?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On Facebook, children? What?
Children that are that don't listen to their parents. The word unfaithful comes to mind, but that's not right. That's when you cheat on your parents. Disobedient. That's a good word. Yeah.
I thought you said Facebook for some reason, and I was like, Facebook children. Look, I understand Facebook's not a good thing, but I fail to see what kids did wrong there.
I feel like that's like the other side against boomers. Like there's boomers, and then there's Facebook children, and in a Sharknado, they have to fight.
Well, it's usually Facebook boomers versus TikTok children or something.
Yeah, it's like, who's the youngest person on Facebook? They gotta be in their 30s now, right?
Right. Now I keep trying to make the joke of there's Santa Claus, and then there's the other thing.
Krampus?
For Chewbacca. Yes. The Chewbacca Krampus going after unfaithful children.
Anyway, so this is a She-Hulk show.
Yeah.
Much like all of those other episodes did, we've been slowly avoiding and drawing out your desire to think about Daredevil.
Yeah.
He shows up.
He does.
Finally.
This is a good showing by Daredevil. Yeah.
I mean, I kind of wanted him to only be in the last episode if this was how they're going to bring him in, because that would have been a great meta bookend of Captain America Fox to Daredevil and She-Hulk.
I also would have liked it if that scene where he flips up over Jen and lands in front of her in the commercial, if that was the very last scene in the series, where it was just like, oh, we needed to do this before we forgot to get you excited about season 2.
Yeah. Just to remind everybody, it's coming. So were you guys big Daredevil fans? I didn't watch any of this show.
Are you talking about the TV show or the comic book?
Yeah, the TV show or the comic book.
Yes.
Yeah. I was definitely more of a fan of the TV show, as far as like, I never spent a weekend sitting down and only watching or reading Daredevil comics and nothing else, but I've definitely done that for Daredevil.
I have done both.
But I have pre-TV show picked up huge chunks of the Daredevil mythos in comics. I feel like he is one of the few super characters that is a great side character in somebody else's main story, but also a great main character most of them can't play double duty that way. But he can do either. He's a great character.
And as a guest character in someone else's book, like he has a very, very large range. Like you can bring him in as sort of like a Batman stand-in, where you're trying to contrast this grim and gritty kind of hero versus whatever you have, or you can bring him in for the Matt Murdock legal stuff. You can
Right.
bring him in as he appeared in this episode as a smooth operator with the ladies. You can bring him in for all kinds of stuff, or if you're Spider-Man, then you get to use him as sort of an older brother figure.
Yeah.
Right.
And that, like, I think that what the TV shows have done well and the comic books don't always do well is maintaining the balance of his pain to his also his levity. Like,
Right.
because he's I don't want to say bipolar, but he's got like some real darks and some real brights in his character. Like he is one of the great characters, whereas like he is an idealist. He does really believe in a solid right and wrong, but he's also not a Batman asshole all of the time.
Right.
Um, I don't know. He's a great character. Like every time somebody asks me if I'm a fan of his, I feel bad because I know I should be more of a fan. But also
Don't let anyone gatekeep Daredevil from you, Rory.
Yeah.
You're a fan if you've read things that have Daredevil in him and you like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, take that, gatekeepers.
Mhm.
I'm a fan. I've just seen him kiss him. That's enough of that.
He does a lot of that.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Mhm.
He gets around that way. That's good.
Yeah, he's a big kisser.
I feel like he's got like one of the more active love lives for superheroes. Like,
Mhm. Not a ton of X's, but
well,
lots of. Well, it's not a ton of X's because they all die.
Oh, okay.
Like he's only got like a couple that haven't died. That's sort of the
and
tragedy
some of
of
the
Matt
ones that
Murdock.
haven't died have come back, and that's why they haven't died. So,
Mhm. But yeah, no, he gets around. Like all of the people that are online complaining about you ruined Daredevil. Just shut the fuck up. Shut it. Just stop. Like Daredevil is probably the biggest man whore in the Marvel universe.
Oh,
Like other than him, it's like what you got, Gambit,
yeah. I mean, that's like a
who
big
is
part of his
generally
character.
sleeping with non-named characters
Right.
before he marries Rogue.
Oh, they get
Well,
married.
Yeah, they got married. Shadowcat and Colossus were supposed to get married, and then at the last minute they changed their mind. And Gambit and Rogue are just like, well, you guys have this whole wedding set up and everything's paid for, so someone's got to use it, right?
Yeah.
It's a perfectly good wedding, just lying on the floor.
which is the exact amount of like just redneck douchebaggery that you'd expect from the two Southern X-Men.
Oh,
To
yeah.
really like, oh, you're not using that. Well, we're gonna. Where were you going on your honeymoon? Yeah, fuck it, we're in. But yeah, I enjoyed this episode a lot.
Yeah.
Great episode.
I enjoyed the first meetup. I enjoyed what they did with Leapfrog. That was.
Yeah. Also, do you guys are you familiar with Leapfrog as a character outside of it?
Yeah, like it's hard to tell your frog B-listers apart sometimes because like I couldn't tell if he was the Frog Avenger dude at first or if there was because I know he wasn't Thor Frog.
Oh yeah.
But like it was I'm not sure. Not sure if I've ever actually read a comic with this version of a leapfrog in it. And as soon as he said his name was Leapfrog, I was like, is that the name of the guy who joins the Lake Avengers? Like, is that the same guy? Or is it just the same suit? I don't know.
I'm more familiar with Frogman,
Yeah.
but I'm not 100% certain that Frogman is a completely independent character of Leapfrog. Like, I want to say that Leapfrog was Frogman's dad,
Oh.
and he took his dad's costume and decided to fight crime rather than be a criminal. But even that is like, this is all like, I've read more than one comic with Frogman in it,
Okay.
which puts me in, like, I would say the upper 50% of Frogman scholars.
Right.
Yeah.
You just know that he exists. You knew that, before a few days ago.
Mhm.
Well, and like I've definitely
He's
read.
actual Frog Man, not in a suit. I
Oh
guess.
yeah, that cover,
Yeah.
that's a cover image. If you find the actual cover that's from, on the other side is Frogman.
Oh, we'll find it.
Um, but yeah, so when I was watching this episode, I couldn't tell enough because of the costume changes, and I'm not a big enough fan to know his actual name. I just know enough about the costume to be like, oh, that doesn't really work the way. Like he's a joke character, not really somebody that I have to know their power suit. His
Yeah.
his powers are guy in frog suit.
Mhm.
Yeah. So you guys keep saying Frogman, and that was the name of a Navy SEALs type TV movie that O.J. Simpson made. It was the last thing he made before he was murdered. So that's whenever I hear the word Frogman, I just think of that.
Well,
Which
I
don't
didn't mean
think
to
is
be
related
bringing
to
this down. But if we're going to talk about OJ, I guess it is a legal show. So
Yeah. He had a famous trial.
well,
Hey, and it was a frogman and got away with it. Oh no, this frogman he didn't get away with it.
Message.
Message.
Oh, that's.
There it goes.
I was just about to say that's usually what David's phone says.
I thought for a minute there, I was like, oh, did he actually record Chad saying it? And now that's the message thing?
Oh, can I do that?
That would be hilarious.
But yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. I thought the use of Matt Murdock was earned because like we did see the whatchamacallit there before.
Right.
And I like how long they waited before they brought it in. Dude, we really got to watch the Daredevil series because I feel like for as little time as they gave Daredevil on screen in the show, that they did a really good job of just being like, oh no, he is totally a badass that can walk into a building and clear it in under a half an hour.
Yeah, under half an hour.
The math either. But like a lot of times when like they do this in comics too, where like they'll bring in another superhero and they're either overpowered or underpowered because the other creative team doesn't have the full stats on hand.
Right.
So it was really cool to see him come in at full Daredevil power and not to dwell on it too much, but also you could see him in the background just being a superhero, and it was just cool. It was yeah. And She-Hulk coming in and not even needing it and beating him with the thunderclap, like those were all awesome.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, everything in this episode uh, felt like it was all set up. Like every all of the major beats, I felt were things that they made sure to give us the first part before we got the second part. Like
Mm.
the reason why Jen learned the clapping thing in the first episode was so that it paid off in this instance where she was able to defeat Daredevil that way. Um, having Daredevil's mask in what was his name? Luke Jacobson.
yeah.
Yeah, having Daredevil's mask in Luke's shop, it sets up the idea that Daredevil and Luke have a pre-existing relationship, which is why he's the attorney for Luke. Uh, and like even the horrible ending was set up by the previous episode where they cloned their phone and we knew that he was using his phone in the bedroom with her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like I think um, the only thing that caught me off guard was the super soldiers at the end, the super powered guys,
Hmm.
just being there so fast. Like, because for a minute there, I was like, is that intelligentsia guys, or is that like just what LAPD has around? That was I could have just dealt with seeing those guys a couple more times, so I knew
Right.
if I hadn't read enough comic books, I wouldn't know that that's what superpowered SWAT people look like.
Hmm.
Once again, that's hypercritical. Like the fact that nobody else reacted negatively to them lets you know that the world knows about them. We just didn't.
Right.
Hmm.
But but yeah, um, just everything was. Um, I felt really well done. I want to double check when you said the horrible ending. Were you meaning that as horrible
The
for
revenge
the
porn.
character? Yeah. Well, I'm
Yeah.
just meaning was like? Are you saying that was horrible for the character to go through, or just you did not like personally the ending?
I thought that the ending felt like in a series this lighthearted up until now, it felt like wow, that is a huge leap. Which isn't to say that I thought it was unrealistic at all, and it's not to say that I thought it was badly executed, but it just felt like not just a shift in tone, but it's just like, oh, are we dealing with a different show at this point?
Mm.
Right. Yeah.
Like, have we completely just tossed a sitcom?
You know, I don't disagree with any of the things that you just said factually. I
Hmm.
guess for my interpretation when I watched it, um, I kind of felt like this is what Marvel's been doing with its TV shows, though, is crossing genres and throwing in things that normally wouldn't go in a sitcom. They'll go ahead and put it in. Um, so like part of me really enjoys that I can sit down for something that starts out the way WandaVision did and then watch it slowly deteriorate from being like oh, this is like a quirky show to oh, this is an effed up situation. um,
Hmm.
Mm.
like I really enjoyed that. I don't disagree with what you're saying where like you could get into you could like everything up until the last 2 minutes of this episode, and it could keep going the way it's going, and you would feel like you would just watch two different series. So I can see that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like I don't think that it was badly done, and I think that it makes sense with the what we've been given in terms of the bad guy motivations. But it just seems really drastic to me, is the thing.
I mean, part of me feels like that was the point, was to keep it not artificially light, but keep it on the super sweet side, and then out of nowhere come and tag you with this,
Hmm.
because it did feel like a gut punch, like when everybody was reacting to how she was hulked out and smashing the wall. I was like, I feel like this is completely within bounds. Like,
Hmm.
that's how anybody who had the ability to turn those TVs off, they would have. So, but like I really enjoyed the ending. But I do agree with what you're saying. Like the facts that you're saying, I guess I have a different gut reaction to it. But
Hmm.
I really liked it.
I don't want to say that it's bad, is the thing. I think when I say that it's horrible, I mean that I feel badly for the characters,
Mm-hmm.
that that is a thing that's happening, uh, and I I'm not sure that I like that that was the choice that was made, but I don't I it's hard for me to really describe because it's like I wish that they'd done something different, but knowing that, well, this is the choice that you guys made, it's like I still enjoyed it for what it was.
Right.
I just wish that like they were like they hadn't gone there.
And I
Yeah.
think by the end of the series, they're going to be upset that they went there too, because She-Hulk is going to
Oh no,
smash.
no, I'm talking about the
I know.
people that made the show.
Yeah. Um,
I personally don't think that the characters are going to regret it as much as they should. Not
um,
unless they decide to throw out the whole She-Hulk character that we've established in these last 7 episodes
Right.
and have her full-on Hulk rampage.
yeah. I did like how they showed her, the the CGI around her eyes, where when she was in that rage mode, that she was a lot closer to, um, Banner's dumb Hulk than
Hmm.
she has been since the first episode when it
Yeah.
happened. Um, that there was a part of me that was like, oh, she is controlling a lot more rage, or she's able to turn on the Hulk mode and control the rage, but it's still there. Like
Hmm.
Right.
she's still got that. Um, it was just artistically cool to see that done rather than being just a scripted thing.
Hmm.
Yeah. And it's like it's a good thing that the show isn't about that. We already kind of get all the Hulk stuff anyways, of like how it's just about controlling the rage and all that. So it's good that it's not a thing that we have to deal with every episode, but it's still a part of what's going on and
Yeah,
whatever character she has to deal with. So it's good to see it, but yeah, it's that shift in tone. It changes the show from being like a light, funny sitcom to like, oh, there's also these serious things. Just like that's how comedies have to work now, and then it's always kind of a bummer.
I mean, I think I would be more. I think I would be more critical of it if this was a standalone series.
Right.
Like that would be like if this was Law and Order and it was like, okay, this is the episode where they're going to talk about this because it's been in the news. I'd be like, come on, you don't have to. We all know what like the news is saying. It's bad. But like for She-Hulk in specific, and the MCU as a whole, I feel like their ability to move different pieces into and out of their stories and break out of the standard sitcom, like, well, it's a sitcom, so this is what it has to be.
Yeah.
Not feeling constrained. Like, maybe I can see what you guys are saying about the tonal change being possibly an issue, but I personally think their ability to switch the tone. I would take a couple of bad switches over not doing it at all, because I really enjoy their ability for it to be all fun and games until someone gets hurt, and then it's becomes a lot more serious. I like that.
I think one of the other problems that I have with it is something that I've touched on continually throughout our run of watching Marvel stuff, is how they walk up to serious topics, acknowledge it, and then turn around and then go in the other direction, and not actually get down and address the issue.
Right.
And this feels like something where it's such a tonal shift that it needs to remain serious for a while after this. And uh, I think that my reaction is based not just on like what I've been presented with, but also in anticipation.
Yeah, and that's fair. Um,
Uh, yeah, it's not really fair though. It's me making an assumption. Like listening to you talk about it, I'm just like, yeah, you know what? The fact that they can swing the pendulum like that, it is a strength. And I'm probably just anxious about it because I'm afraid that they're going to swing it back in the other direction without treating the situation with the appropriate amount of gravity.
and I feel like from what we've seen of them, that is a fair apprehension. That and how they only have one episode left,
Hmm.
and that requires that they either don't have the time to really go over it in the depth that it has, or they have to start out the next season dealing with it, or they're going to walk with, like, none of their options are great,
Hmm.
for what you're talking about, and I feel like that's a fair thing of saying that the options that are left, there's a really reasonable apprehension that they're going to do the thing that you've been complaining about. So that's I didn't really think of that part of it, but yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a bit of a downer ending on
Right.
a really great episode, but that doesn't take away from the fact that it was a well executed downer ending that I think definitely raised a lot of stakes in the show,
Yeah.
which is exactly what you want to do with your penultimate episode.
Right. So we have to watch
um,
this. Let's see how it all turns out.
as far as like a examining the issue, and I agree that it should be talked about more. I do feel like this was well crafted, where um, like, I feel like everybody was right there with me when it was like, yeah, Daredevil and She-Hulk, good for both of you. We like you guys, power couple,
Hmm.
have fun, and then immediately having that lack of fun come out and blindside her. Um, like, that was, I feel like, a real good learning moment, or not maybe learning moment, but like, there's a lesson there where it's like a bunch of guys are watching this and being like, oh, this is what they mean by, like, nobody's doing this to Daredevil. Like, the most ridiculous thing about him was having to walk home in his clothes.
Right.
She's getting her entire career fucked.
Yeah.
So I think that was positive,
Yeah.
showing the gravity of the crime. Because otherwise, unless you actually watch it happening, you don't know the character and see the consequences of that sort of thing. So
yeah, you see Daredevil doing the walk of shame, and it's funny. That's cute.
Yeah.
It's a great gag,
Right.
and I I've seen people online complaining about it because people online can complain about literally
That's where you
anything.
go to complain about stuff.
Yeah, but in addition to it being a great gag, uh, it's like I think that it's also kind of a subtle message to the people that are complaining about it online. Go for a walk outside. You might feel
He's
better.
literally touching grass with his feet.
Yeah.
which has to be really uncomfortable. Like I don't like walking around without my shoes on, and I don't have super senses.
Right, exactly. He can feel it 10 times more than you would.
hmm
Hear.
Or it
Granted, he
might
knows where
feel
all of the
really
rocks
good.
are.
Yeah,
That's true. It's like a
I think it
kink.
really depends on the grass.
it's true. I feel like Los Angeles probably doesn't have great grass. It's a desert.
Yeah, it's a very dry place.
Yeah, that pavement would be hot on bare toes.
But you know what? He's in New
Why
York
doesn't
City.
he have
He's
socks?
probably happy to be able to walk around barefoot at least a little bit.
That's true.
Can't do that in New York City. Ooh.
I mean, you really shouldn't do that in LA either.
That's true.
Oh.
But that is a good question about the socks.
Yeah, like you got to think that he doesn't have any reason to not wear socks, and he has a better sense of smell.
Yeah.
So like he has to know there's a difference between socks and no socks.
Oh yeah.
hmm
I always got him, but like he would be wearing like if you were gonna walk through a yard and you had the choice between barefoot or in socks, we just do it barefoot. Right?
Yeah, but like he's got to be walking to wherever he parked his car.
Yeah.
Well, not his car, but you know.
It's
like-
rental or whatever. Yeah.
No, but it wouldn't be his car. It would be to meet a Uber.
Oh, yeah.
So, but like his clothes, his wallet, like wherever he
Mhm.
stashed his like
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
actually Matt Murdock stuff.
hmm
Yeah, because he's as a New York City guy, he has to get around similar to Spider-Man. But he doesn't shoot webs or anything. Does he swing with stuff? Like does he use his stick? It's got a rope in there or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does use that as a grapple, but he's more a low rooftop jumper.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And not big skyscrapers and stuff.
No, he's not a skyscraper guy. He's a he's like you know the opening
Tick.
theme for the Tick, where
Yeah.
he's just jumping from 3-story building to 3-story building.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that, but better at jumping.
Right. Doesn't cause property damage.
hmm
to that extent.
Well, also like the low level powers uses of his powers is like he's really good at picking locks because he can feel he's doing it by sound so he can see it. He knows if a door's locked before he walks up to it, all of that stuff. So if he gets to a building, he can usually like just walk through it to get to the other side just as easy.
Right.
hmm
If you just
But he's a lot more like sneak up on a location and then take out everything in the location than a bunch of chasing.
Yeah, he's not the swing through the giant window kind of guy, unless he's like, I want to make an entrance.
right. Yeah.
Like every time that you see him do that, almost, it's something that he's doing purposefully.
Yeah.
Most of the time, he would rather like crack open a skylight and lower himself in, and then just like punch people in the back of the head.
Nice. Donkey punch them.
hmm Or choke them out. I don't know. He could do either.
I do like him chucking that pipe. Like
hmm
that's just I feel like it's because it's such a meaty clunk every time it hits somebody that it's like, oh, that actually sounds like something that would knock the fuck out
hmm
whoever it got hit in the head with.
Yeah.
And in comics, it's a great visual too when he throws the club because he always does the multiple ricochet thing, like how Captain America does with his
Oh,
shield.
yeah,
So
because
it's
that's my
just like, oh,
question.
that's so awesome.
That's my
But
question
like,
for you. 'Cause when I was rewatching it this afternoon, like when he goes into the hallway to beat those guys up, those goons, like they're just standing there talking, and one of them gets knocked out with his club, and they look out to see where it came from, and then he throws a guy through like the door to get into the room. So he wasn't in the room when he did that. He was in another room fighting a different guy, and then threw his stick and it went into the hallway and knocked out a different guy on purpose. I guess that's how good he is.
I read that as he was in the hallway, chucked the stick, and that's why the door was bouncing back open, was because he entered the room, cleared everybody out of that room, and then went back out into the hallway. So he like let the fear soak in real quick, and then came
Oh,
back out and got his stuff.
so he threw the stick and then opened the door and then went into that
Yeah.
room, beat up that guy, and then came back out. Oh.
Yeah, that's how I saw it too.
Oh.
Like clearly you're not the biggest Daredevil fan.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't understand his tactics.
Fear,
Yeah.
fear and stealth.
and
Like
tacticality.
he's a ninja. He's a
Right.
ninja is basically the thing. Like occasionally they play him up to be like a the swashbuckling kind of guy where he's like swinging around and making wisecracks and everything, but uh, generally speaking, uh, unless someone is like concentrating on that aspect of Daredevil, or he's doing a team up, he's usually going to be more silent assassin-y kind of stuff, but not killing.
Yeah.
Like that's actually like one of the strengths of the Daredevil character is like he makes jokes, but he's not like a funny guy.
Hmm.
So like, and there's so often like when people are writing characters, they'll be like, "Oh, he's funny, so he's just constantly making jokes," and that like detracts from the character because they're not taking anything seriously.
Right.
And the reason why like Peter Parker works is because you get so many wisecracks, but then you see like he's making the joke, and then you hear the thought bubble of him panicking. So you get to see at the same time as he's making the joke that there's a lot more going on. And Daredevil, you don't always get that. You don't always get that like or at the same time kind of thing because he is more of a silent going after you guy. But they don't forget to give him the occasional one-liner or joke, like to the people he's talking to, not necessarily to the people he's beating up.
Right.
Yeah,
like that when they were doing the fight in this one, and he's still giving legal advice about the insanity plea and all that stuff. It was fun. Did you notice one of the goons? His weapon was a net for like catching tadpoles.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Also, not surprising though.
Yeah.
Because it seemed to be a very inefficient way of running your henchmen.
Yeah. They were not ready for fighting. So they had crossbows, which is odd and not on brand for leapfrog.
Yeah, like like when they were like busting out the crossbows, I was just like, I don't.
Oh no, he was talking about poison darts, like poison darts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but still, like it's like, are you guys hunting vampire frogs or what?
Yeah, because you can have like dart guns.
Yeah, there's park rangers have dart guns.
And you could paint them green if you really need to.
Yeah. I was thinking the other day about how do people with real guns ever just paint the tip orange just to be jerks?
I'm sure it's
gotta
been
be
done.
fun, right? Yeah.
I feel like it happens far more often the other way.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you were like planning on committing some kind of crime with the gun.
Yeah.
Like you might think like, oh, I should paint the tip orange, and then they won't know or they won't suspect it until the last second when they're like, oh, that's a real gun because he killed that guy.
Yeah.
Or you could just pop open the casing of one of those Nerf guns, hollowed inside. Just blam, blam, blam.
Yeah. Yeah, instead of hiding your gun in like a guitar case, you just want to hide it inside of a obviously fake toy gun.
That would be. Also, maybe like a super soaker, so if you're doing it on a hot day, so then people are like inclined not to move.
Hmm.
It's going to be hard to lob your water balloons that have a grenade inside,
Right.
just
Yeah,
because
just
it's going to
full
still
of
be all
inside.
whoopy. Like,
Yeah.
Like throwing a wiffle ball.
Yeah.
so this is what our super crime team is going to be all people with real weapons that are decorated to look like not real weapons.
Yeah. It buys you a couple of extra seconds before you start blasting. Was you guys caught it in the scene when I guess the opening when she's talking to her boss about right before that when she's talking to Leapfrog and she finds out that the guy who's making this it's her tailor. She says shit. I was like, oh, is she the only superhero that curses in the MCU? And talks to the camera. She's a real Deadpool.
I mean, I know that
it's piling up.
I don't think she's the only one that swears in the MCU. Maybe the only one that swears to the camera, but
yeah,
because I know like there's the whole language joke in the movies. I know they were swearing in Jessica Jones and Daredevil and stuff like that. I'm sure that they've sworn.
It's New York people.
Yeah. She might be the first Hulk that swore.
Yeah, you definitely don't see Hulk.
It's hard to find who else is swearing because if you just look up MCU and shit, all you get is people that don't really care for the movies.
I feel like you do any Google search of something plus shit, that's what's going to end up you're going to get. Except maybe like eating.
Yeah, I also really liked her super suit. Like that.
The classic that white and purple. Yeah, those shorts. That's your sneakers.
I enjoyed that. It kept the classic lines and feel of her suits, but was definitely updated to be something that an actual person would wear.
Right.
So I really enjoyed that. I also liked what they did with Daredevil's suit, that it looked less bright yellow. Like, I also enjoyed the low blow joke of making fun of the blind man's clothes. Like, that was another fuck you to the internet. But
yeah, I've seen Daredevil's yellow suit. Is it yellow and red like that?
Yeah,
ketchup and mustard kind of feel.
Well, he's got like the red onesie that goes like over a yellow bodysuit, so it looks very wrestler-esque.
Oh, I see.
Message.
Yeah, I liked it when she pulled his mask off and found out that he was him. And I was like, wait, have you been pretending to be blind this whole time? That's not cool. Nope, Rory didn't like it though.
Rory was like, you can't accuse a handicapped person of not being handicapped. That's problematic.
Yeah, it's against the HIPAA law. ask people about it. Or ask them to prove it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he's got a like a red onesie. Yeah. Those boots. It's a weird look.
Yeah, it's not great. Later, there was another hero that had basically the same costume, D-Man, who's most well known for being homeless.
What does the D stand? What can we guess? A dumpster. If he's homeless, probably some sort of dumpster thing. I guess.
Dead
Dead.
man.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah. 'Cause basically, if you're homeless, the kind of society treats you like that. An invisible person. It's really sad.
Message.
Oh, he's like a Daredevil, but with like a Wolverine thing.
Yeah.
I also really enjoyed that joke when they were talking about
They're very muscular.
what was going to be happening, because this was the episode before the finale, and her friend jumped out with the makeup brushes in her Wolverine claws. Like, that's what everybody's been hoping for, is another mutant reference. And
We got it. But also, this is another lesson for men. She came over first thing in the morning to start doing her makeup for a gala at night. Spent all day doing her makeup. So we don't have to worry about it as much.
it takes me like 15 minutes to put on my makeup. No more, no less.
Exactly, because you have a beard to take up half of your face. You don't have to put makeup on.
Yeah, that's male contouring.
It's true.
Like, do you think my chin looks this good normally? No. Looks awful. This looks great, but
my real chin ends here. The rest of it is all just beard.
like without any facial hair, you can't really tell where my chin is. It just looks like neck, all neck.
Ah.
I look way fatter than I actually am. Like, I look like I have like a George Lucas glandular problem.
And he's got the beard. He's still. The only thing, the beard can only do so much.
Hmm. But I mean, it better that it only do so much than give up.
That's true.
I will say, and this is a beard problem that I wasn't aware that I was going to have because nobody ever brought it up, but like under here where like it starts growing in and you usually shave it off, but you don't have to do it like every day. I'll get like a weird like tan, not tan in like a speckle pattern, but it'll change based off of how well I remember to shave my neck.
Right.
Didn't expect that to ever be a problem in my life, but
yeah, no one explains to you how beards really work. They're just like, some people got them, some people don't.
Like there's been times where I was like, maybe I should shave some of it off, and then I'm like, oh, I don't have a week to grow in a tan, because believe it or not, I am tan.
Right.
For me.
It would blow up the cameras if we saw the skin look like under the beard, how white it is.
It'd be half regular me, half like White Walker.
People think you've got a Santa beard, but actually that's just your white skin.
It's like, oh, that's a cool December 24th shadow they got going on.
Also, why don't you have a chin? Why do you just have this weird white slack where there should be face?
It's like a black hole, but it's white.
Yeah. There was we were just talking about it, and it was something that I was watching in this that was less. Oh crap! I forgot.
Well, one thing I did like about this one was when she had to go to the bar to meet with that one creepy client they got. He's talking about how he bought the Wakandan spear and he does the Wakanda Forever salute.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, that
That
was
was
a great reaction
Yeah.
to this very, very white dude doing that.
Yeah.
uh,
And I say that as a person who's posting a photo with like 19 other Asian people doing the Wakanda Forever.
well. Here's the thing. I'm
That
gonna
is
go
your
ahead and
Tinder
say.
profile picture. 'Cause it should.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that like saying something like Wakanda Forever and doing the salute. Um, there is a place and time where it doesn't matter your ethnicity. You can do that. Like when you're
Right.
defending Wakanda, totally fine.
Yeah.
If you're fighting on behalf of Wakanda, like I wouldn't be opposed to Steve Rogers like running out to face those aliens if he had been like, yeah, I'll jump in on your Wakanda salute.
Mhm.
Not
Right,
a
yeah,
racial thing.
he's got those fist shield things they
Yeah.
gave him. Those are Wakandan made.
Mhm.
Exactly. Like you can
Wakanda.
be legitimately down with Wakanda and do Wakanda stuff with pride. That's totally
Yeah.
fine. That wasn't what this guy was doing, and we all know it. Like, and that's. I just want to be clear on that. That that's not some sort of like weird gatekeeping thing. This guy was clearly in the wrong. We all know it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one case where you cannot argue intent.
Yeah. Like.
Yeah.
I mean, you
And
could
just like
try, but you'd be wrong.
like if I had the option to have like a Wakanda spear, I would totally take it. If Wakanda was like, "Hey, we want that back. It was stolen," I'd be like, "That's great. Can I get a replica that doesn't have historical value? Because you guys are
Yeah.
awesome."
Mhm.
But
So can those shoot lasers? I feel like they shoot lasers out of their spears, right? Like that should be a controlled weapon. I guess not in America. Like Second Amendment, right?
yeah,
Have laser
I think
spears?
it depends on like when it was crafted. Like if it's an ancient spear, it might not have lasers in there.
Right.
Like it
That
might be
makes
only the
sense.
more modern ones that shoot lasers.
Right.
I mean, it's probably got like vibranium dust in it or something, so it's probably still way better than like a regular spear.
Oh yeah, it's got it.
Hmm.
It's good Wakandan craftsmanship.
Yeah, I think that if there were no vibranium in it, no one would know that it was Wakandan.
Yeah.
Also, definitely wouldn't have lasers if it had no vibranium.
Yeah.
I'm sure that that plays a part in the laser technology.
It's kind of yeah. It's kind of unclear how vibranium works as a source of super technology.
That
We'll
is very comic accurate.
Okay.
Anytime the science is unclear about something,
Yeah.
that is comic accuracy.
A wizard did it.
Hmm.
From what I've been able to piece together, vibranium is like that Uru stuff that Thor's hammer is made out of, in the fact that in addition to being like just really hard and unbreakable, that it has energy absorbing properties that are beyond like regular science. Like they go into the other magical sciences,
Yeah.
which is what makes it so versatile. But it's also why a lot of vibranium in close proximity to other things might be like radiating mystical or other other dimensional energy onto
Right.
those things.
Yeah.
That
It's
is,
interesting you mentioned Thor's hammer because, like, yeah, we just accept that it's magical and it can cure cancer and do all the other kinds of stuff. It kind of has a mind of its own and all this stuff. We don't have to question the scientific accuracy, but when it's Wakandans doing stuff with their special.
Like their science is so advanced that it might as well be magic.
Yeah.
well, and like that's the thing though, is like Thor's hammer, the metal that it's made out of doesn't naturally do what Thor's hammer does. Those are the magical things that are put onto Thor's hammer.
Right.
Yeah,
But because
regular
it's made
order
out of
is
that
just
metal,
tough.
yeah.
Yeah.
but because it's made out of that metal, the enchantment will last a long time, which is why they don't just put it on steel.
Right.
My science nerd has felt like comics nerd has felt like he's said his piece.
Yeah. You got to push your glasses up, so
Yeah.
you go.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if they're ever going to introduce Antarctic vibranium in the MCU.
Is that like a red kryptonite kind of thing?
Kind of.
Yeah.
What it does is instead of absorbing like vibrations and making like real good like very tough metal, instead what it does is destroy all other metal nearby
Huh.
by vibrating in a weird frequency.
Wow. Weird.
And the more of it that you have, the more vibrations appear, and you
Wow.
can do weird science to Wakandan vibranium to turn it into Antarctic vibranium.
Right.
But that's the thing where it's like I remember reading about that a bunch when I first started reading comics, and then
Mm.
never again for like a decade.
It's just not rare. Nice.
Yeah, and it's I want to say in the comic books it's not naturally occurring vibranium. Like you don't find it anywhere other than the Antarctic or people that have done something to regular vibranium to make it
Hmm.
Antarctic vibranium.
There was a story I think where Roxxon had tried to create synthetic vibranium, and it turned into Antarctic vibranium basically.
Wow.
Which is weird because like adamantium is basically synthetic vibranium. Like it doesn't have the vibrational power out things, but it's got the same like doing damage to it actually just makes it stronger for the most part.
And in the comics, Cap Shield is not vibranium; it's adamantium vibranium alloy that no one actually wrote down the formula for. So it's just like, oh well, this is a one of a kind unbreakable shield. All other shields will be super tough but breakable.
Right. Yeah, that sounds like something scientists do when they're experimenting.
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah. It's like it reminds me of the story of the one guy, the chemist who discovered whatever artificial sweetener just because he was messing with chemicals, and then with his fingers later, I was like, "Oh, this is sweet." So
but
he did it.
did he write down the formula then, or
I think he did, but yeah, but I don't think he wasn't trying to make artificial sweetener. He was probably trying to make an explosive or something.
I would really like to know why a guy trying to make explosives with chemicals licked his fingers. That seems like a bad idea.
Yeah. I think the story is that he was eating his lunch and like he was like, "Oh, my sandwich is sweet. I'm touching it."
Mhm.
Get it out.
I mean,
That's still bad science. He's
Yeah,
supposed
yeah,
to
yeah,
wash
yeah.
his hands.
let's just go ahead and say though that a lot of like explosive scientists are the worst kinds of scientists.
Yeah,
Like,
you think they would be extra careful, right? Anyone needs to be extra careful what they're doing. Those guys. But yeah, you think about how many scientific discoveries aren't happening anymore because of ocean safety standards.
Scientists are washing their hands too much. We need more breakthrough advances in non-hand washing technology.
I mean, that's kind of like why we as a species aren't evolving as much as we used to, is because we keep curing everybody of cancer. Like, one of those things has to go right, and then we get laser eyes. Like, that's just how cancer works.
Yeah.
The very first time I saw an ad for laser eye surgery, I was really excited. And then I found out it didn't mean what I thought.
Right.
Yeah. I will still admit to every time somebody comes up with like hoverboard or hover bike, I get way too excited, and then I'm like, no, they're just It's not the same yet. Although I did see
Yeah.
that one that came out of China that's like a bunch of drones just strapped to a bike. Have you guys seen that?
Yeah.
That thing. I mean, that's 15 minutes of my childhood that I want.
hmm They've never come up with a good like Back to the Future 2 hoverboard, but I swear that they've come up with a real Goblin glider.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, I think I've seen it somewhere. Yeah.
And it's like,
It was like-
that's very close.
yeah.
Like, it's just a directional issue at that point.
Right. Yeah. And then like a power thing, like they had to be strapped into like with big cables coming out of their back and stuff.
hmm
Yeah, that's the thing I was gonna ask about this episode, and then where she's got her She-Hulk super suit, and then her sneakers. Like, are they stretchy? And like I was thinking, are they kind of like Back to the Future shoes?
They must be.
Yeah, because her feet get real big.
Yeah.
I've seen her big bare feet before.
I mean,
She-Hulk.
I think that if anything, if the shoes themselves don't stretch or like expand, if they were just oversized shoes for a person, but like, because like I've got small feet, so I can wear like 3 or 4 sizes too big, and it doesn't really impede my motion as long as they're not flopping around. So if it was built with like the padding on the inside made the inside smaller than the outside, but then when she was growing, she was shoving that padding into a compressed state, then it would work the same as it's stretching. And I feel like that would be more scientifically feasible than getting a sole that would stretch on its contents getting bigger.
Yeah. So I'm picturing like elf shoes. They maybe like they curl up at the end, and then also like maybe on the sides when it shrinks, and then as your foot grows, then it kind of flattens out.
I see.
So, but that's not what she has, because we see her shoes and Jen, they look fine. I figured that would work too.
I was thinking that maybe it was some sort of like play school roller skate thing where like as her foot grows, it parts in the middle and then like, something comes out to like fill in the gap. It would make sense if she wasn't wearing socks. Like that would make perfect sense, but not Daredevil.
Yeah, because he's wearing a lot of like leather and stuff. Like, I don't think his suit itself is very breathable. So then just to have that along with the no socks, he would just be sweating everywhere and always just be pooling.
It does look slightly more breathable than when he was Ben Affleck.
Right. Yeah. Harder.
It also feels like he can breathe better than Ben Affleck, just in general.
Well, that's because Charlie Cox don't smoke.
Yeah.
I don't know whether or not he doesn't smoke. I'm just...
Right.
I feel like he's a really good actor for Daredevil. Like, because I mean, anytime you're picking a superhero actor, it's got to be somebody that can play both parts, and they're usually wildly different characters, right? But he's done a really good job. And once again, David, you got to watch the original series. But he did a really good job as like original Matt Murdock, Daredevil without the suit, and then he pulled off the suit too. Like, and that's
he's a charismatic guy, and they have good chemistry. I assume he does with other people. So maybe we'll do it for Dare-Dewary.
I would be down for that.
There's a lot of episodes. I think that we would have to do more than just Dare-Dewary.
Oh, yeah. We do whole seasons.
And they are not half-hour episodes, so.
Oh, they're not? Oh. So, yeah, then we can do 2 a week and still be under the time limit of like a whole Marvel. So,
that's true. That would not be that hard. No.
Part of me feels like we should just do all of the Defender shows, but man, that means that we have to watch Iron Fist again.
I've got an idea for Iron Fist. If we watch all of the other shows up until Iron Fist, it's not as long of a series. We could just do one Saturday. We're going to sit down and watch Iron Fist. We can get shit-faced. That'll make it easier, just in general.
Still watch along.
Yeah.
Do that. It's Defender Summers.
Because he's not as bad once it gets to the actual Defenders. Like then,
Iron Fist season 2 is way better than the first one.
And I feel like the Iron Fist character, like, it came at a really inappropriate time for the Iron Fist to be debuting, like socially. That makes the character look even worse than just being like, well, we got to get a series out there so we can do this team up.
Right.
So it's like, it was a mediocre show done at a really bad time. I don't think it's as bad as the Inhumans.
Oh yeah, no. That's why I was just like, oh, that means that we're gonna have to do this thing, and it wasn't an immediate "fuck you, I quit."
Right. Would that be your reaction if we had to
watch the Inhumans? Yes.
Yeah.
So if you ever need me to just like get off doing this show, and you want to replace me as a host, just say, all right, we're gonna do Inhumarch.
Yeah.
Or Inhume. I don't know which is better.
Inhume sounds like Inhume.
Well, Injunman?
It feels like it would be.
Well, what we can do when that eventuality comes is we'll just put up the stream. I'll be because I haven't watched it, and I know I'm going to have to at some point, and it'll just be half an hour.
You don't have to.
It'll be a half an hour of me sitting here, 2 empty screens up top, just being like, why, and then we'll be done, and it'll be. Everybody can just laugh at my pain.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's just the pilot episode, right? And there's 5 more, right? Or 10.
No, I think there's 10. Or is there more than 10? I don't remember how long the pain lasted.
Yeah, we will do it when you have to take a break or whatever. When you go on a cruise or something, we'll do it when the cat's away, when the Chad's away.
Everyone else will suffer.
Will suffer.
God, what a horrible show. 8 episodes.
Okay, it's not bad. We'd be done by now if we were watching that.
Yeah, and it's there's no reason. You don't have to do it.
Yeah.
It has no bearing on anything else. You can perfectly enjoy Multiverse of Madness without watching that. And that is literally the only thing that's ever referenced that show.
Still to date, my favorite murder of the superhero.
Oh, right. Yeah, I was trying to remember why. Okay. Yeah. That whole scene is just really great. Yeah.
The only thing that I enjoy almost as much as watching Black Bolt blow off his own head is, have you guys seen the Venture Brothers?
Yeah, but I haven't watched the entire series.
Yeah, I watched the first half maybe.
Like, I'm not afraid of spoilers. I'm just saying that.
Okay, I'm going to spoil it. I'm going to spoil it. That wasn't the question. I was just wondering how much preamble. So there's a part where there's a Fantastic Four analog, where there's a stretchy Mr. Fantastic, but the Thing is a human callus, and he was also the Invisible Woman's younger brother who's special needs. Yeah. The Human Torch, who bursts into flames, but it hurts. So he just runs around
It's
screaming
not
that he's
immune to it. Yeah.
and the Invisible Woman only works on her skin. So
Okay.
of the Fantastic Four, only he's got good powers.
Right.
And he's voiced by
Oh no.
what's his name?
Stephen Colbert.
Yeah,
right?
Colbert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the episode where he gets knocked out after his face has been stapled to a wall and it's just him full stretched out in the wind, flopping
Right.
around by his stapled face. That, like, to me, I started laughing uncontrollably for probably 15 minutes because it was like, I don't think I've ever seen Mr. Fantastic laid out in that fashion.
Right. Yeah.
And that's exactly what it would be. And it's amazing. Like, this is the grossest guy to watch knocked out, asleep.
Right.
At any point in time, that's got to be gross. He's got to be the grossest superhero to casually use his powers. How have I never realized that?
When he's sleeping, his body just relaxes, so it can just pull. And just kind of
Like,
stretch out as
imagine
far
how
as
many
the
times she's woken up thinking that she'd pulled the covers over and found out that it was actually just like her husband's cheek.
Yeah.
Like, like she'll wake up to just be like, "Oh, what's wet? Oh, I'm in his mouth. I'm in his mouth." Like,
Even if he just rolls over and like his foot goes over the side of the bed, his leg will just keep stretching and just like falling like a
Yeah.
slinky. Just
yeah, like, just, I mean, we've all been at the point where it's like, oh, I've woken up and I've gone out to the bathroom and it's morning, so my boxes are all hiked up and it's hard to get my junk to stay inside. Like that, he's got to get up, like walk to the bathroom and then be like, oh, there we go. Like that has to happen to him.
Yeah.
You know how they always have like those cartoons where people's head gets crushed or something, and they have to blow on their thumb to like reinflate their head. He has to do like the opposite of that all the time. Where he just like he like sucks with his mouth closed. And also, that is a very good description of how he's generally been used in the Marvel universe. In order to like get himself back to regular human proportions. That's what I like to imagine. In the actual comics, generally speaking, he maintains his shape until he feels like changing.
I just want to, like, I know that they did this joke to death in Mallrats, where the guy just wanted to know about their sex life and their dicks. But I do love the idea of super powered people and what kind of like random other stuff happens to them or doesn't happen to them because of superpowers. Like back on like the old Lois and Clark, I loved when they like showed Superman sleeping 3 feet above his bed because sometimes you fly in your sleep. That's his version of rolling over. That's great. But like I just love that. So seeing how weird he would look when he'd been knocked out, that's money.
Yeah.
I also like every time when you see him get punched in the face and his head like slingshots backwards.
Yeah.
That's always just fun to see.
Yeah, that's fun. It's good Looney Tunes stuff.
I also, and this is also true in the comics, I love when anybody shoots him and it's just like all these like spikes coming out of him.
And then the bullets go back.
But
shoots it back at him.
I don't know. It's just
Both Fantastic Four movies better than the Inhumans TV show.
Wow.
Actually, all 3 Fantastic Four movies.
Like now,
I didn't get the second one.
You're almost getting me like perversely like interested in it. Like, how should I watch it just to see how bad this can go? Like,
here's the thing. It's not even interestingly bad.
Oh,
it's boringly bad. One of the things with the Inhumans characters, Medusa, she has prehensile hair. Like that's her superpower. Her hair is like animated. Her hair is Mr. Fantastic. You know, it can stretch and it can grab stuff and yada da 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 da. So the very first episode, they shave her head. That is basically the TV show's attitude towards everyone. It's like,
Hey, that
oh,
costs a lot
what's
of
your
money.
power? You don't get that anymore. Oh, your power is being super smart. Now you have amnesia. The only person who gets to use their powers without any sort of limitation or compunction is Lockjaw. Lockjaw is the only redeeming feature of the show.
He is also the only Inhuman that I actively care about that's a member of the Inhumans. Like, I like Kamala Khan. I'm sure there's other Inhumans that are their own separate superheroes, and I just don't realize that they're not a mutant or something. But he's the only part of the Inhumans team that I'm just like, fucking A, let Lockjaw run loose.
He's a dog, right? That's
Yeah.
his whole thing.
Yeah, he's a giant dog that teleports.
Yeah.
How can you not know that?
He has a little tuning fork on his head.
Which is stupid, but I still love the dog. Like, and he's like,
he may or may not have been like a regular person that was transformed into the dog by gaining powers. Who knows? Still interesting.
And if he was a regular person, fuck the person. The dog is what's important.
He's like the librarian from Discworld, where he's been an orangutan so long that he's really more of an orangutan than a man by now.
When I was doing my first run of reading the Kamala Khan comics on my whatchamacallit, I'd finally gotten to the point where I could enter her. And I want to say it's not that many issues in when Lockjaw shows up in New Jersey, because she's just gotten her human powers, and the dog is one of the things that goes out and kidnaps new Inhumans. But her reaction to seeing a giant fucking dog walking down the street, of just being like, yes, giant dog. It was one of the few times where I was like, this superhero had the exact reaction that I would have. No compunction. Like, no, like, I would like to think that I was the kind of guy that would run into a burning building or stop terrorists. But I'm definitely not the guy that would run over to a giant.
Yeah.
I would not be that person. I would be the person fleeing in terror of the giant dog, possibly calling authorities to do something about this. Like, there was. Did either of you guys watch the Clifford movie?
No.
Yes.
Clifford the Big Red Dog or Clifford?
At any point,
Martin Short?
does the army try to hunt him down?
I know that the police do.
Okay.
But
because there was a point in one of the trailers where they made it sound like this was going to turn into a kaiju thing.
Yeah.
Oh.
And it's like, oh my god, I would love to watch a Clifford the Big Red Kaiju Dog movie.
Yeah. To get the National Guard to shoot tanks at him. And
Yeah,
stuff.
and it's like eventually it turns into Clifford versus Godzilla or something.
I would be on Team
Yeah,
Clifford.
I would love to see that movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always going to be Team Godzilla, no matter who the opponent is. But I just want to see the fight.
I mean, I feel like there's plenty of times when I've been like pro Godzilla's opponent, but like deep down I'm like, Godzilla's got this, so I'm just rooting for the underdog. But I think like I would have severe problems with watching Godzilla take a pot shot at Clifford. I'd be like, no, you just crossed the line. Like, walk across New York. I don't care. People blow up New York all the time. But like, you fucked with Clifford. Like, he taught me to read, you son of a bitch.
I can just imagine the Spider-Man and the New Yorker scene. Oh, you mess with Clifford? You mess with all of us. And everyone starts throwing cans at Godzilla. He's like,
Yeah.
Like the only other time where I've been even slightly tempted to cheer for the other person who was taking on Godzilla was Godzilla versus Charles Barkley.
Yeah. That's-
Because I do really like Charles Barkley.
Where did they find a rubber Charles Barkley suit for the guy?
Oh no, it was in the Marvel Comics
Oh,
Godzilla.
okay.
Oh, they also made a commercial. Remember, I watched the whole video.
Mhm.
There's a live action commercial where Charles Barkley is playing basketball against Godzilla, and we're gonna write out on that tonight.
That's fair.
Yeah, the other one thing I wanted to talk about from this episode was when I went to the awards ceremony, the gala, and they find out that the winner of Female Lawyer of the Year is She-Hulk, and then 5 other women. That was right.
Which I really appreciated Chad's earlier thing of saying that lawyers' offices get bullshit award certificates like that all the time. Where I was like, oh, okay, so Chad was right. This was just every woman is going to win it.
It might not have been a bullshit award. It could have been that all of these women were in different fields, but that was not
one of them is
made clear.
Because one of them was her coworker.
Yeah,
Mallory or whatever. So they're in the same. I think it's kind of like the Nahoku Awards, like the theater awards they do here in Hawaii. They will give out like multiple awards for like best play or whatever. It'll be like all five plays that get nominated are the ones that win, so they don't have to pick a winner. We do a lot of that. It's that kind of a thing.
what is the theater awards called?
Isn't it the Nahoku's? Oh,
No, the Nahoku's is the music one.
That's the music one.
Because that's the one where Jose keeps trying to produce 5 stand-up comedy albums in 1 year, so that comedy qualifies for the awards.
Oh, Kela Awards. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't speak Hawaiian, so I don't know any of these bits.
Because I know that the Nahoku does not give awards to every single person who is nominated in that category, specifically because Jose lost.
Wow. They changed the rules just for him.
Like he's the one who was like pushing everyone in the local stand-up comedy scene to get their act together and put together an album so that they were able to compete for an award, and they would get like more people to recognize that there's a comedy scene, and it was just like, oh man, that's like I don't want to say it's poetic because it makes it sound like I'm glad he lost.
Right.
But there's definitely some kind of literary thing there.
Yeah, some kind of irony going on there.
Because I don't think it was hubris. Because I don't think Jose expected to win. But the fact that the person who put in all the work to make sure that the award would be given out didn't get the award, it feels literary.
Yeah. It's kind of a Henry story.
Yeah, it's some kind of irony.
That's why he's bald. He sold his hair.
And the Nahoku is actually a comb.
Yeah. Where does the Stan Lee cameo happen in this episode?
The presenter at the Female Lawyer Awards.
Yeah.
That's the easy one. Let's see what Rory has, because Rory always has a better idea than me.
I mean, that I agree. That's the easy one. I feel like I'm falling back on this gimmick too often to put this at the closing scene. But I would have loved to see him pull up in the security car when the Daredevil She-Hulk fight was happening, or like right afterwards, of just like, you guys, you just trashed this place.
Yeah, like she busts that big hole through the parking garage, and he's like sitting there in his golf cart, like, oh man.
Yeah. I would have been fine with the. Like if it had been this is the first time you trashed parking garage, and then he pulled up.
it would have been a really fun recurring gimmick to have Stanley have to get a new security guard job every single episode because places constantly get trashed that he was supposed to
Yeah,
guard.
that would be fun.
So
That's-
MTU, if you're hiring for
For what to do
Stanley's
with
ghost
CGI
placement.
Stanley.
yeah, that's all right. Or we just take our idea. We just laid it all out for you. You know what to do. Throw my hat in the ring here and say that he would also make a good henchman in there. As one of the butterfly net guys. Maybe the one that tries to hit She-Hulk in the face with a baseball bat.
And on a serious note, I think it would have been cool if he was like the picture, like a picture in the gala of like the founder of the gala. If they started using like not CGI, but like images of Stanley doing stuff as.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he could have been one of the guys on the dating app.
Yeah, that would have been one. Since She-Hulk is a slut and has got a big picture of Stanley.
It's got to be no mustache Stan if they're going to do that. So it wouldn't actually tarnish everyone's image of Stanley.
Right.
Because Stanley without his mustache looks like a completely different person.
I will say that I did like that the voiceover of like, you want to know the real She-Hulk, blah 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 blah, and she's a slut. Whereas like that was his closer of like, it's all of this stuff and that thing we always keep talking about. Like I liked how stupid it was. Like even in like their epic like Boo Gotcha. Wow.
Right. Yeah, because they're not real villains. They're just still.
Oh yeah, I just sent you like
incels.
that exact same picture almost.
Yeah, it's the first one that comes up if you Google it. Yeah. Well, it's also I mean, it's a picture 10 years apart, but yeah, definitely different hair, different mustache, glasses. But it does look a completely different person.
It is rare that you see like the almost exact 10-year gap between when somebody wasn't cool and got cool. Like,
you think it was the glasses?
Yeah, and then he took the tie off, opened up the collar, right?
Yeah,
glasses, mustache, the hair. It was a whole complete transformation.
Yeah, started growing hair back.
Yeah, I mean he's leaning forward and hunched over in 66, but then he's leaning back and cool in 77.
Oh yeah, there's that's definitely like one of those internet memes, like about like the way that you're leaning. That's the difference between the Virgin and the Chad.
Yeah, I was thinking of it. I don't want to look it up right now, but there's one of those memes of like the handsome guy talking to a woman, hitting on a woman. She thinks it's funny, and then the guy doing it, she has to call for human resources or whatever. But
yeah.
They replaced it with Jack Black saying, "Hey, I'm going to be Bowser," and she's like, "Oh, that's so funny." And then the next one, it's Chris Pratt like, "I'm Mario." And she goes, "Oh, somebody help me."
Have you seen the animation where they pitch Chris Pratt's voice up like 1% and it's Linda Belcher?
No.
From Bob's Burgers.
Oh,
let me see if I can find that for you guys. I know that you wanted to go out on Charles Barkley versus Godzilla, but I think this is just as good.
Yeah, and I haven't seen this. I'm going for this one. Do for Mario. No. Mario Marchio.
Mario?
Mario, there you go.
It's a little bit too short to play it out, though.
Yeah, so we'll play that real quick, and then we'll play out to Godzilla versus Charles Barkley. Guess anything else to say to the internet before we say goodnight?
Leave She-Hulk alone.
Yeah.
Stop being a dick about this show.
Yeah, enjoy it. It's fun. It's a fun show.
Good show.
Yeah, so this is just they took a recording. It looks like Linda Belcher, so you're automatically gonna think it's her. But this is actually just Chris Pratt. That's just been slightly
Voice
pitched up.
just tiny bit pitched up.
Hopefully you guys can hear it this time.
Mushroom Kingdom, here we come.
Yeah, that does sound exactly like.
Yeah, at first when he pops into the trailer, it doesn't sound like he's doing a voice at all, and then just that one part, it's like, oh, he is trying to do an accent. He didn't sound like that the first 2 lines that he said. He just sounded like Chris Pratt.
Nah.
And
That's how
apparently he's like, let's do my New York accent. It sounds like Linda Belcher. Which, where is Bob's Burgers supposed to be?
No, I think some sort of. I feel like New Englandy, like a fake, the Springfield of New England.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know there's Barb's Barbecue down on Tweaky side.
Yeah, and we drove past the Bob's Burgers in New Mexico, but I didn't get a picture of it. So there's one there. Very different looking from the one in the show.
Feels like there's Bob's everywhere, so...
Yeah, a lot of Bob's in the restaurant business. It's allows to get Bob's.
There's Bob's in every business.
Yeah. All right, everybody.
All right,
See
good night.
see
You next week.
She-Hulk episode 9. Good night. Watch Godzilla. Goodbye. I forgot about the expense.
Well, Charles, that's not the way to...
Man.
All right.